how was I going to have my life going forward from this? Was I going to live my life in fear, or was I going to find something positive out of these experiences? I'm really grateful that I chose the latter. I decided that I wasn't going to live in fear, that I was going to move forward and become more empowered, that I was going to take my life back from these men, that these men were not going to have power over me at all. And I have since done many things that have helped me to maintain that power. But I want to then share something else with you that happened after that. I became a qualified therapist. I went and got training, and I began to work with women, many, many women. I was almost overwhelmed with the number of women who came to me having suffered from sexual abuse or from trials with rape, with assault, domestic violence. Many of these women came to me, and they came to me in various states of anger and depression and negative emotions. And I saw that it was my role to try and help them to work through those emotions and become more whole, more healed, to become at the point where they were able to go on with their lives. I had one particular woman that I remembered who came to me at the age of 58, and she had experienced sexual abuse as a child for a number of years at the hands of a relative. She was very angry, and she had spent her whole life basically on hold. She hadn't been able to move forward. She couldn't hold down a job. She hadn't been able to get any relationships. She was basically stuck. And she came to me for help to work through her emotions finally at the age of 58. As we unpeeled all the difficulties she faced, and she was able to express herself, and she was really angry in those sessions. And then she went into a deep depression, and finally at the very end, there was a really special moment where she got to a point of peace, and she got to a point of forgiving the perpetrator, and where she could accept and say, that's my past. I am now ready to move on. I am at peace to move on and move forward. And she said something that stuck with me all of these years and is still in my head quite often. She said, Marianne, why didn't I do this earlier? Why did I leave it so late to be able to take care of this? Because my life now is shortened in a way because of all that I have left holding in myself and not taking care of. So I have been passionate about helping women to take care of themselves and to put their lives back on a forward track. So fast forward now, and we're in an incredible time in our lives where this Me Too campaign has struck. And I've even stuck my little hash there and put the Me Too campaign in my Facebook page, and I've shared some of my experiences, and I felt kind of empowered, but at the same time, I have watched women take to the streets and share things, and I've noticed the similar things to the woman who came to my office. I noticed that there's a lot of anger. There's a lot of anger and a lot of pain and a lot of depression, and it began to worry me. I began to ask myself, will this end, or will we start to become mired in this negativity? Will we stay in the anger? Will we stay in the whole sense of it being depressed or looking backwards and taking it out on other people around us because we are still in that pain? So I've had some concerns about the Me Too campaign, not because I'm not excited. We should be opening up these topics. We should be feeling excited that it's come out from underneath the carpet and that we're dealing with it. But we need to find ways of dealing with it in a real positive way, to find ways of healing ourselves. And as we heal ourselves and individually, then we can heal our communities as well. I'm really concerned that we are unable to do that. So I wanted to, I'm just hoping that we've got this situation sorted again. Okay. Done. To be able to understand, and from my mind, this model is really, because this is what I'm seeing out in the community. This is what I'm really understanding is happening. And I think we need to understand it if we're to overcome it. So this is called the drama triangle by a man called Stephen Cartman. And in it, he calls us playing out these roles, that this drama happens to us because we are literally playing something in relation to somebody else. And so we have three roles that he describes. And the first one is the persecutor. And in relation to sexual abuse, that is literally the perpetrator, the man, in some cases the woman, who perpetrated the sexual abuse on someone. And then and that's often, as we've all heard said, it's someone who says, I'm better than you, I put you down, it's me that's in control, I am going to make you do what I want to do. And that's someone we can recognize as being a persecutor. Then there is the victim, which is also recognizable. I am the victim. And this is where the person says, I'm no good, you're better than me, poor me, I've suffered this terrible event, I've been through this and I have no idea of how I'm going to get through this. I'm emotionally crippled, and all of that. And then finally, the last one, believe it or not, is actually equally recognizable, and that is the rescuer. I find myself in that role sometimes a lot, and so it's important for us to think about, what does this rescuer do? And this rescuer is, in this model, it isn't a positive thing. The rescuer is someone who comes in and says, oh, I know how to help you. You're not good enough to do this. You can go, I need to fix it for you. So you need me and you can't do it without me. So these three roles, none of them are good roles. They are all within this drama triangle, that they feed on each other. And they have one major thing in common. The major thing they have in common is that they're all about the other person. They're all ways of deflecting the problems from me to someone else. I don't have to look at myself if I'm a rescuer. I'm running around taking care of somebody else. I don't have to look at my own issues because I am trying to take care of your problems, not mine. The persecutor doesn't need to look at themselves and say, I'm behaving badly, because I'm putting it on you, and I am putting my beliefs and my feelings and my actions on you. The victim isn't actually any better either. The victim is also saying, it's not my fault, I didn't do it. And so therefore, I don't have to take responsibility for anything that I did. And so this whole idea of being in any one of these, and I see this being played out in society today, not just on an individual level, I see it being played out in a community level, where we're labeling each other as persecutors, as rescuers, or as victims. And I don't think that we're going to be able to be healed while this drama triangle continues and we keep feeding on it. So we need to ask ourselves, are we reacting as victims, or are we reacting as perpetrators? And I've chosen this photograph specifically because we had a gigantic women's march, and it's great that we get out there, but I am a nasty woman fits into that perpetrator role, that we've shifted from being thinking of each other and supporting one another into expressing anger. Do I say that it's wrong to express anger? Absolutely not. It's really important. But sooner or later, we need to overcome that. We need to find ways of being able to deal with that and to move in a positive direction. It's one of the reasons why I love Big Ocean Woman. We learn to reframe challenges. We don't want to protest and be out there with our placards as much as we want to find positive and optimistic solutions. And how do we do that? So I want you to think about, I'm hoping that you've all heard of Helen Keller. Let's just find Helen for you. Here she is. This is Helen Keller. Helen Keller is one of my heroines. Helen Keller was born both blind and deaf, as we know. She said the only thing worse than being blind is having sight but no vision. And when one door of happiness closes, another opens. But often we look so long at the closed door that we do not see the one that has been opened for us. Although the world is full of suffering, it is also full of the overcoming of it. Love that phrase from Helen Keller. And so that's the kind of emphasis that I want to push today. I also want to emphasize something that Viktor Frankl, going back to him now that I've got this system running, he said that a human being is a deciding being, and a human being includes us as women. We are deciding beings, and we can choose and make our choices something important for us. And he says that he was in this situation, that when we're no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves. And that is something really important to do. So I want us to think about, how can we then do this? What is something that we can do to change the direction in which we're heading into a much more positive way? And so I want to stop showing you Victor and Helen Keller. I want us to share some methods that I have for how we can do that. The first one we want to do is we want to be able to know who we are. We need to have a clear idea of our identity. And we need to learn to love ourselves before we can enter a new relationship. I was divorced in 2008, and shortly thereafter I was confronted with many single women who would come to me and go, oh, I really, really want to meet the man of my dreams, and I'm tired of being on my own, and I can't live like this by myself. And it came to me that, no, I need to focus on my identity and myself first. I need to be able to come to terms with who I am before I can enter into another relationship. So the second way of healing as well is to understand the difference between being interdependent and codependent. So if this person, I had to come to the point, if this person left, if I went into a relationship of any sort, if this person left me, would I be able to stand on my own 2 feet? If I can't, then I need to work on developing that independence and finding a way of, no matter what. So then if I reach out, that I can reach out and touch someone, but if they pulled away, that I would not fall over. That is important to me as a process of healing. The third one is we need to remember that we have power only over ourselves. And more than that, because when we say that all the time, and I hear it in counselling and therapy, that people say, well, I know that I only have power over myself. But then you hear them try and control other people in their lives. And that is the problem with the Me Too campaign. I hear it all the time, that they want to go out there and help men to work out how they're going to fix women and how they're going to make men so that they will be more aware of women's needs and that they won't inflict themselves upon us. And they've got women's groups in the East, for example, where women are training men on how to treat women. I find that actually offensive, because women need to take care of themselves first, and also because men need to take care of themselves too. If we truly believe that we aren't the subject of men, then men need to also be given that opportunity to take care of themselves too. That will be a rather radical thought for some of you, and some of you that might be a little controversial, but I think it's really important to have integrity with our own beliefs. If I don't want to be assaulted, I do not want to find ways of assaulting men or anybody else either. Then that fits together with the number 5 point, which is that we have the ability and the power within ourselves to change. I wouldn't be a therapist if I didn't believe in that power to change. If that's the case, it also means that other people have the power to change. What I'm seeing on Facebook and on the social media is that the minute someone doesn't agree with me, or the minute they're taking a different viewpoint, we cut them off. We tell them that they're no longer worth listening to, that they are truly not worthy of our attention. I find that really difficult to handle also, because for me, that implies that they can't change, that they're stuck in that position. And we need to give people the room and the ability to change and to accept their thinking as they are at this point in time, because I want them to accept my way of thinking for the time, and not believing everything that I say, but at least accepting that I have those viewpoints. So I am all about exposing corruption and uncovering abuse, but what message are we giving to our children when we cut people off because they don't believe the same things that we do? So I just wanted to share, I'm running close out of time, but there's this wonderful story of a Dutch woman, and I'm of Dutch heritage, so if my family's out there, then I'll say hello in Dutch. But there's this wonderful Dutch woman called Corrie ten Boom, and she had, in fact, been saving Jews while she was in her home during the World War II. And then afterwards, she did a tour of Germany to be able to teach the message of forgiveness. And this is the message that I wanted to share with you at this point, of the importance of forgiveness. And she was face to face at some point in time in 1947 with one of the guards at the Ravensbrück concentration camp. And there she was brought face to face. Can I truly forgive this man? I've been preaching forgiveness all over Germany, saying that we forgive you, but here I am facing someone who had actually jailed me and jailed my sister, and my sister had died. She had these thoughts as this man approached her and sought for her forgiveness. He didn't really realize that she had been there, but said, I want to be forgiven for those things that I had done in the concentration camp. And she really struggled with it. But in the end, she still came to the same conclusion. I have no choice. I have to be able to forgive. It's something that I can't do. If I can't forgive, then I am stuck with this. So I wanted to quickly go back to go. We've got a problem with it. Just again, let's go down. So this is Corrie ten Boom here. She's a wonderful woman, a real hero. She says those who were able to forgive their former enemies, and she's speaking of those in the Germans, were able also to return to the outside world and rebuild their lives, no matter what the physical scars. Those who nursed their bitterness remained invalids. It was as simple and as horrible as that. Sometimes when we talk about forgiving others, we think it's not just to forgive them. They don't deserve to be forgiven, and we make it as if it is about the other person. And once again, we think about that drama triangle. It's about avoiding ourselves. Forgiveness is not about the other person. Forgiveness is about us. We need to express forgiveness because we need the healing. It is the final stage of healing, is when we are able to forgive someone. I got to that point. In my divorce with my former husband, I remember crying and not knowing how I was going to survive through this relationship that I was in, and it was really difficult. But one day I prayed and I said to God, I said, okay, God, show me how you see him, because I can't do this. I can't do this on my own. So I did. I prayed, and I prayed really hard. And then something incredible really happened to me. I can't describe it now, but it is a feeling that still remains with me so often. I suddenly felt from my head right down to my toes, every part of me felt this incredible love. I can't even explain it. It wasn't the love of a wife for her husband, but it was the love of my Heavenly Father, of God, for my husband. And I have since then let go of any bitterness, any pain. I'm grateful for that experience. I know that that is important for us to be able to truly heal. If we're going to make this Me Too movement go somewhere forward, then we need to do that, to find ways of healing and forgiving. We need to make overtures to men to make them realize that we forgive them, to not place our anxieties, our anger, or our depression on them or on each other. We need to find ways of being able to fix it and to let ourselves have this experience of being whole. I've heard someone say, I don't believe you can get over sexual abuse. I don't think you could ever do that. I disagree. I have gotten over it. I am actually grateful at this point for those experiences and the learning that I've received, because I have learned to become strong in myself. I have learned to truly be independent. I've learned to have a relationship between me and God, and a relationship between me and others. As I've learned to heal myself, I've given other people the opportunity to heal themselves. What a joy and a pleasure that is. I'm hoping and praying that that's, as we work towards this Me Too campaign, that we are able to do that as well. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to my colleagues now. You'll be followed by my other Big Ocean colleagues, and I'm excited to hear their presentations as well. I'm grateful for the time that you've taken to listen to this presentation. Thank you.